I was nervous for the big day. Woke up at 4 a.m. and I was already envisioning what I was going to do in front of Grant Cardone and Pete Vargas. And it was going to be my time to shine. And I woke up, went through my morning routine, and I was ready to rock and roll. It was the Great American Speak Off, and I had a chance to sit in front of Pete Vargas and give my 2-minute talk. And I had multiple chances in front of other amazing people. And if you've ever done anything that you were passionate about or you were called to do, you get excited, right? And you get nervous, and all of those emotions are stirring. So I'm sitting there in line waiting for my 2-minute talk in front of them. My hands are sweaty, my heart's pounding, my mind is going all these different directions as I try to stay super focused on my talk. I give my talk and I felt like I knocked it out of the park, grand slam, absolutely crushed it, answered his questions well at the end. I was like, man, I definitely made it to the top 1%. I'm there. I'm going to be in the top 10. I'm going to be able to do it. And I didn't make it. And if you've done anything and have failed, you know what that feeling feels like, failure. You're just absolutely crushed. And I was sitting there and I was like, God, like, why? Like, how did I miss this? What am I missing? And there was a word that was spoken over me when I was 18 years old. They said, Kyle, you were built for stages, but God has a lot of more things that he wants to do in you. And I was like, God, it was 12 years ago. Like, haven't you done enough? Right? And if you've ever made bread and you have to allow the dough has to go through this process, and it allows it to ferment. And I believe, so it's called proofing. Like, the bread needs to be proofed, and that's what I felt like I was being proofed. I was being put into the fire. I was being fermented almost like a fine wine, allowing it to age before you serve it, right? And that was kind of what I was feeling like. God still is doing a lot of things in me and humbling me to be able to get me to that spot. And I believe that wisdom is more precious than jewels. And one of the best ways to grow your influence is on other people's stages, on other people's platforms. And so in that moment, I was trying to pull out the gold out of that whole entire conference or, talk. And there was multiple amazing things that happened. I ended up meeting at one of my mentors at the Marriott after dinner. And he's one of my mentors today. And that was an amazing thing. But one of the things I pulled out of was getting on other people's platforms is a way to change your business. So my name is Kyle Kunkel, and I believe that if you are on other people's platforms, you'll grow your business. I've grown my business and made hundreds of thousands of dollars just this year alone by getting on other people's platforms. And I'm going to share with you guys 3 tips. 1, on how to get on other people's platforms. 2, how to tell a story that sticks. And then 3, some of the tools that I've used to start my podcast. So super excited for you as a local real estate agent in your market to be able to dominate your market and kind of become that celebrity agent. So let's dive in. So OPP, other people's platforms, right? You've heard of other people's money to invest in real estate, using other people's money for a project or some business venture, whatever it is, but other people's platforms. So whether it's a stage or whether it's somebody else's podcast, or whether it's just literally going live and having someone else go live with you, and you're leveraging that person's circle of influence, right? There's lots of ways to do it. Lenders are always trying to take you out to lunch. What would happen afterwards if you pulled out your phone and you're like, hey, let's do a quick video and you tell me some of the things that you told me over lunch, and what were some of the big takeaways? What is the market doing? What are interest rates? How do people still get into homes right now? And you're asking all these questions. You post it to your platform, you tag him, and then he shares it on his platform. And now all of a sudden you have this circle of influence. You're leveraging his influence, right? And the same thing goes with a podcast, right? Imagine you taking a podcast into your market and interviewing some of the most, influential people in your city, whether it's the mayor or professional athletes or, even just the principal of a school, like literally anyone who has influence in your city, and you're getting to sit down, help them tell their story, help them get out what they're passionate about. And then all of a sudden they're starting to share, your podcast, and it elevates you as a position of authority. And then 1, and then 2, what happens is you get into other people's inbox, right? You get into other people's, they're starting to see you on their feed because all of a sudden you've gotten shared from this person, and that person liked it so much because, it was their best friend that was sharing, and all of a sudden that gets shared. So I want you to think about the opportunity community, think about a wealthy neighborhood. What are some of all the things that they have in common? A lot of them are business owners, right? High net worth individuals who have done really well, retired CEOs, retired, inventors or business owners, whatever it is, right? And you help them tell their story, and then you share it with your community, and they share it with their community, and it elevates you as that position of authority, right? And so that is what I'm talking about when you use other people's platforms to grow your business, right? And then telling a story. So telling a story is an art. It's been done since Jesus's time. One of the best storytellers, and he used parables. And one of the most famous parables is the rich young ruler. He goes to Jesus and he says, Jesus, I followed all your commandments. I've done everything you wanted me to do. And what else can I do to serve you? How else can I get to heaven? And he says, sell everything you have and come follow me. And the rich young ruler was broken because he was rich and he didn't want to sell everything. And so he walked away, and Jesus said it's harder for a rich man to get into the kingdom of God as it is for a needle to go through the eye of a camel, right? And it's just or a camel to go through the eye of a needle. It just seemed the whole concept of that is impossible. And there's a ton of different things that people think Jesus was saying there. But the whole point of it is he wanted to use exaggerated picture to show people that it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're not willing to give things up to follow him. And so the people are like, well, it's simply impossible to get to heaven then. And Jesus said, he basically said, what is impossible with man is possible with God. And then his disciples said, well, we did everything, we sold everything and we followed you. And he goes on and says how blessed they'll be because of that, right? But the imagery in his story and in his parable is something that people will remember, right? And so there's a great book out there called Made to Stick. And so it's all about telling stories and using vivid, tangible, incorporating specific details and examples and concrete details, like, the hair was blonde, or it was December 9th at 6 a.m. All those types of things. When you can share the details in the story, it allows things to stick. And that's how you become a great storyteller, is when you can help someone imagine those things by giving details, right? Or making things that will help stick, like imagery, like a parable where it seems impossible to do something, right? So those are just a few tools to help people become better storytellers and help people make their stories stick, right? And then here's some of the tools that I've used to help grow my podcast. So Riverside is actually what this is being filmed on right now. So it's a great platform. Even if someone's using their phone, you can actually still get really high definition when you're interviewing someone. If you're interviewing someone on Zoom, stop. You definitely do not need to be interviewing people on Zoom. And then Shure mic. So this is the mic that we're using right here. This gives great crisp sound to your podcast. And lighting, so having a nice big canned light is what we have behind us. So a lighting Amaran 60D, the camera, having a proper camera is really important. Sony ZV-1 is what we're shooting this on. It allows for streaming really, really well. And then you need to have a good idea. What's an idea that's going to make something stick? So ours is the Bare Fruit Show. And I had a mentor once tell me, go find somebody with fruit on the tree and learn from them. Their ceiling be your floor. And so that's what I've done in every aspect of my life, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. And so that's what the podcast is all about, finding people with fruit on the tree and learning from their mistakes and allowing their ceiling to be the floor of the listener. So you can go check out the podcast. It's a great podcast. And we're always interviewing top-notch business owners, and it's a lot of fun. So it's one of the funnest things that I do. So coming up with great names, you want to make sure those stick, and then not doing too much editing. You want the conversation really to flow. That's why people listen to, Huberman, and it's a 2-hour podcast, or Joe Rogan, or all these big names, because it's very unedited. It's just a true conversation. And our world is so edited that it really actually hurts your podcast when you edit it too much. So definitely want to think about those things. And then having sponsors, having people sponsor your podcast would just pay for every single thing that I just talked about. So having sponsors on your podcast, even if it's you sponsoring it, so for example, to say, hey, I'm sponsoring this. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe and like our channel. If you're a real estate agent and you're wanting to double and triple your business, we have a free webinar coming up. It's put 100K in the bank in 100 days. I'll leave a link below. So make sure you go ahead and check that out, because I'm going to break down exactly some of the tools, even more so, on how to start a podcast in your local neighborhood or your local town or city to grow your influence and become that celebrity agent and brand you. right? So go ahead and check it out. 100K in the bank in 100 days. So, and then distributing, make sure your distribution checklist, make sure you got a full length of, hey, this is where it's going. These are all different places. Some of the stuff that we use, some of the other tools is Buzzsprouts. So this, make sure it goes on all the different platforms, whether it's Apple Music or Spotify or YouTube, all the different stuff. YouTube actually has its own playlist for podcasts. So that's definitely something, if you're not utilizing your podcast, you need to. And then editing, repurposing your content into shorts, right? So you can shoot a 30, 40, 50-minute podcast and then all of a sudden have 15, 20 shorts that you can throw on all your different platforms. So, and it's made even easier to do that. One of the things that you can use is AI Opus. You could put in, it could shoot you 10 clips. Captions is also another great tool, AI tool you can use. And then hiring a team, making sure that your team can edit it, all this stuff, right? So those are all amazing tools. Also Podpage is just a tool to make sure you have a nice clean website. And then here's the thing, make a list of the top 10 most influential people that you know in your market, and then go tell their story. That's it, right? Or whatever your podcast name is, leverage their platforms, leverage their influence, and get your name out there. And it's one of the most amazing tools that you can use as a real estate agent. That's really, it doesn't cost that much to get started, right? The biggest thing people have is fear, right? And I believe fear, if you can run through fear, you're going to find your purpose on the other side of it. So super excited for this to get released. So go ahead and, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you like or what you disagree. But those are the top 3 things that I have for you. How to get on other people's platforms, making sure that you're telling stories with details to make sure that they stick in people's mind, or imagery. And then the last thing is, these are the tools that we're using for our podcast. And I hope I'll leave a list of them below so that you can go make sure that you can, click on them and find them and make it really easy. So this video is valuable to you. Make sure that you share it with other real estate agents, maybe not in your market, but make sure you share it with them, because or you think somebody, oh, this isn't for me, but this would be great for so-and-so. Share it with them, because I want to help as many real estate agents as possible to grow their influence and help them reach their goals. Because here's the thing, it's not just about making more money. It's about you actually living out your dreams, living out that lifestyle that you want to live, and giving back, right? All of you have something inside of you that is amazing and that you're called to do. And I want to see you do that. So appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day. Be blessed. Talk to you soon. Bye.